Let's see. Let's see. Ooh, we got it there. There he is.
We good?
Yeah,
we locked in?
Got your equipment wireless set up situated over there. All good?
Yeah. What's the deal, man? What's going on?
Everybody can hear us well? You can hear me well?
Yeah, I got you. 100%. You clear, man.
Yep.
First off, I appreciate you, stopping over to the show. Love everything that you're doing.
Appreciate that.
You're out there winning awards. You're doing amazing things. I was one of those guys that I saw you when you came into the league. Because you obviously played with the greatest wide receiver ever.
You're talking Randy Moss.
Yeah, I'm talking Randy Moss. So, my opinion, that was my GOAT. And, I was such a huge Vikings fan when you came over to the Vikings and played. And, you came in there, you handled your business. What was it, the second year, I believe, you put up 1,000?
Yeah. You know your stuff. Yeah, no doubt.
You came in there and you put in work. This is my guy, Matty Ice. Matty Ice has his own sports talk show as well out of Buffalo, New York. We're Buffalonians, so we'd like to talk our stuff as well. Again, for everybody, this is the Danza Project Sports Report. This is something new that we're doing. We love sports over here, so we're going to talk sports. We're getting into that.
Getting into that space. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, shout out to Buffalo, too. You know what I'm saying? They got a real hardcore fan base. I loved playing out there, but it's been a rough season for the Bills. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if they're having a good year right now. Benny the Butcher might be having a better year, out of Buffalo than the Buffalo Bills. But, it's upsetting to see because I'm diving right into it. It's upsetting to see because, one, they're loaded. Top to bottom, preseason, they're one of the teams that everybody selects to go to the Super Bowl. And as a football historian, I don't want to draw the comparisons from this team to the Buffalo Bills teams in the 90s. Now, even though those squads made it to the Super Bowl and didn't finish the race, I just feel like it's very similar with this squad. How are you one of the most talented rosters, a great coaching staff, and still stumbling your way through a season? That's what upsets me the most about this squad.
Yeah, and Matty, you and I were talking about earlier. What's your take on why the Bills are struggling?
Yeah, so I share a similar sentiment, man. I mean, they're top to bottom, they're loaded. There is some injuries that are plaguing them on the defensive side of the ball, but man, Sean McDermott has, with what he's cobbled together, with who he's losing and who he's throwing in there. He's put together a pretty good. He's salvaged a good defensive season. Then you have Josh Allen on the other side of the ball. Anytime you have a guy like that, a generational talent, I go into every game thinking that we're going to win the game, and that was very much not a thing before he got here. There was we had all this crazy stuff had to happen for that. So obviously there's some other blunders that have gone on. The 12 man in the Broncos game and other things that come to light that kind of, the Ken Dorsey firing. What was he, holding back Josh? Was he the one doing it? It's kind of seemed so in the past two games. Joe Brady's kind of unleashed that Josh that we're so accustomed.
Yeah, the offense does have a better flow to it. You know what I'm saying? Can't necessarily blame Dorsey. No. But when you let go of a coach and then the offense finds its rhythm, you can draw, a thread between the two things. You can draw a line between the two things.
For sure, and it's almost like he's feeling a little bit. Josh is feeling a little bit more like himself again, or he's more comfortable doing what he usually does. We saw a lot of it in the Philly game. He put his third down performance was just incredible, man. I mean, it seemed like we were in third and longs every drive, and he was just converting, play after play.
That's a fact.
Going and really, we should have never been ahead in that game, and Josh was the main reason that we were in that first half.
No doubt.
Is it too little, too late?
I think it's too little, too late because the AFC is so loaded. It hasn't been like this in quite some time. I mean, even dating back to when I came in 2003. The NFC always seemed like they just had bigger superstars, even though Tom Brady was doing what he was doing in Boston. But when Tom Brady started to reach the end of his career, we saw the excitement back in the NFC. Now you got the Dolphins cooking, the Jags. You got Lamar Jackson playing like an MVP. I mean, this isn't your same old AFC. So if the Bills would have started off strong and maintained that rhythm, they'd be right in the thick of it. But right now, you got teams that already know who they are, that have found their identity and are rolling with that. Miami know who they are. Yeah, they got smacked up, after riding a little high and had to taste a little blood in their mouth in the middle of the season. But their squad that is built off of the pass game opened up the run game. And that play action, opening up those slant routes that Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle run. The Jags, they're a consistent team, very balanced. They can run the ball, pass the ball. The Baltimore Ravens, you know exactly who they are. They're going to run that rock. I mean, their best receiver is a tight end who's not even playing right now, Mark Andrews. So the AFC is it's different this year. So I just feel like the Bills, they might have just stubbed their toe too many times for them to get back into this race.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do feel the same way. I'm obviously optimistic, especially.
Yeah, you're hopeful, as you should be. You know what I mean?
But I do feel like, if the right pieces do fall, they will be able to make it in. But the realistic side of me says, we kind of waited too long. I didn't want to lose the last game. I think we needed to win that. Matt brought up a great point. We felt like we should have kept that in Josh Allen's hands at the end of the game.
That's a fact.
I know it's third and long. Let him go for it. Let's see what happens. Or fourth down. We don't need the field goal. We know that we can't stop them. We need to go out there and win the game. And
that's what you're paying the big bucks for, right?
Yeah.
It's just like basketball. You know what I mean? Like you want Bron to have it in his hands in the final minutes. You want Giannis Antetokounmpo, like you want Brady to have the rock in his hands, Aaron Rodgers, all the greats. Like when Lamar Jackson is on that final drive, they're not settling. Man, what Harbaugh is doing with the Ravens, they're not settling for a field goal. Lamar might even wave the field goal team off and be like, no, hey, no, get your asses back. We about to go for this. So if you paying a dude 40, 50 million, man, give him that rock at the end of the game.
Yeah. I don't know. I like to think I speak for majority of Bills fans. If Josh doesn't convert there, we live with that.
Fact.
You know what I mean? Because we saw the flow of the game and how the momentum was shifted, right? I said it so many times in that game. I don't want Jalen. I don't want them to get the ball back. Like when we were on that last drive, like, damn, all right, we're getting down there, but there's a minute 50 left. It's too much time. It's too much that we say it all the time with all the greats, with the Aaron Rodgers, with
too much time.
Doesn't matter how much time is on that clock. It's too much time if you give them the ball back.
That's real talk.
And that's exactly what happened, not only at the end of the game, in overtime as well. So 100%.
So what do you think, because you do have a lot of other teams that I didn't hear you mention. You got the Kansas City Chiefs out there. You got the Indianapolis Colts, which are surprisingly, they're in the playoff.
Yeah.
Right. They're in theirs right now.
In the hunt.
And you also have the Houston Texans that look like they're CJ Stroud looks really good. I feel like, maybe the Chiefs don't have all the right pieces this year to make that deep run. But just like Allen, which, Buffalo guy, I'm going to always support my guy. Pat Mahomes seems to always find a way to get things done, except for, he's making sure those victories are there. So, like, it's the ball is not in the defense's hands at the end of the game, but their defense is getting the job done.
No doubt. Their defense is getting the job done, and their defense has won them games. But I'm right there with you. There is something a little bit different about the Kansas City Chiefs this year. They don't scare you as much as they used to. And maybe that's because there's been some inconsistency with the wide receivers. There's some drop balls that have been highlighted. We all know that this offense, it is built around Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is the green light to their go. But I have a gut feeling that we won't see Kansas City representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. I believe they'll make it to the AFC Championship game. They pretty much live there. I mean, we have the game every year at CBS, so we are always out there in cold-ass Kansas City. Shout out to Kansas City, though. I love y'all. Great barbecue. Y'all always show us love, but it's cold that time of year. I just feel like you have teams that are a little bit more explosive. I mentioned those squads, which are the front runners in the AFC. You mentioned CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans. I tell you what, man, this dude has earned respect week by week. I remember he beat Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers, and Baker Mayfield came out and said, he doesn't look like a rookie. He looks like a veteran quarterback. quarterback out there. That's a strong compliment for a guy who's been through the roller coaster ride of the NFL and is a young vet now. He's out there cooking with some decent names that have turned into household names. Now, all of a sudden, we know they're wide receivers. Noah Brown, Tate Brill, Nico Collins. Like this team, for them to be so young, what DeMeco Ryans is doing has these dudes believing. A lot of times football players will say they don't know what they don't know. And it could be a confusing comment and even sometimes sounds cliche, but I mean that when I talk about the Texans. Like they don't know that they're not supposed to be in the conversation. They don't know that they're not the hottest. You can't convince them that they're not the hottest team right now. They're like, we're here, we're balling, we're supposed to be quote unquote building, but we're winning games. Last week, they only lost to the Jags by 3 points. So they could have easily won that game. I just feel like the game that's happening this weekend with the Texans, the Broncos and the Texans, those are the two hottest teams in the AFC just because they found their rhythm at the right time. You don't need to be good all the way through the season. You don't need to be MVP quarterback all the way through the season because as players, we really don't care. Like the only thing we care about when it comes to the regular season is, do I put up numbers? How will that impact my contract? Will that get me to a Pro Bowl? That's what the regular season is for. Now, the big superstars are about the defensive player of the year, offensive player of the year, MVP, comeback player of the year. Cool. After that, it has nothing to do with the playoffs. Now, there's certain teams that take their momentum from the regular season and roll it right into the postseason better than others. That comes down to coaching. But I just feel like you have to get hot at the right time. It's December, baby. The weather's getting colder. Your identity is who you are. So whoever you are right now is who you're going to be in the postseason. Russell Wilson with the Broncos started off shaky. Everybody's like, man, look, it was a waste of money. You got Sean Payton. Russell Wilson's not who he used to be. Turn the lights off in the kitchen. He is not cooking no more. Then all of a sudden, my man figured it out, started taking care of the ball. He started to mesh with the offense. He's not throwing interceptions. Everybody else is stepping up around him. Defense is playing well. One of the biggest turnarounds from the first 5 games up until now. That's what December is all about. Finding your rhythm and then riding that out. And that's why I like the Eagles. On the NFC side, the Eagles and the 49ers, like we know exactly who they are. There's nothing that's going to shock us about the Eagles when they show up for the game. They're going to target A.J. Brown because he's an absolute monster. Devontae Smith is like a 6'1" Kevin Durant, the Slim Reaper at wide receiver, cooking dudes. They got a run game with DeAndre Swift and a host of backs. And you know that Jalen Hurts is going to be as calm and as cool as ever. And if they ever get to 4th down, 4th and 1, 4th and goal, you know what we're going to see, the brotherly shove. Yeah. And their defense is going to smack you. They might give up some big plays. They're going to bend, but they won't break. That's the Eagles. San Francisco, they got a host of guys. They got Kittle, who's a beast. One game, he could be an extension of the offensive line and not even catch a ball. The next game, he could put up a $180. You got Deebo Samuel, who is Mr. Everything. And speaking of Mr. Everything, then you got Christian McCaffrey, who I had to remind myself today that this dude got 16 touchdowns.
Oh, my.
That's wild. Yeah. And then you got Brandon Ayuk, who to me is like James Harden on OKC. Like, yeah, he's good in this team atmosphere, but low-key, he might be that dude for real if he had a chance to be a true number one. And then you have Brock Purdy, the one guy who's not supposed to be there, who quite frankly isn't getting enough credit, with a defense that flies around and smacks you. Like that's some old school Madden. You remember the old school Madden when they used to drive the ambulance on the
oh yeah.
That's how they be hitting you. You know what I'm saying? So I say all that because we know exactly who they are. They know exactly who they are. And that's a good thing to have going into the month of December and into the playoffs, knowing exactly who you are.
Absolutely. I really I'm concerned as to like how good these 49ers could be, with that pickup of Chase Young, because it's not done yet. People are you see the 49ers and they look like this amazing team, but we don't really know what they're going to look like because they've only been together for 2 or 3 weeks now on the field.
Weeks. Yeah.
So, they're only going to get better, and that's going to make it, I feel like a lot of teams got to really worry about in the NFC about that defensive line if you're going to be in the playoffs, because you inevitably got to stop Jalen Hurts.
You got to stop Jalen Hurts. And listen, Chase Young is a beast. We saw him doing his thing when he was playing in Washington. But one big motivational factor, the reason I feel like he's going to go crazy towards the end of this year is that he's still playing on his rookie deal. So, like, I think my man is, like, motivated more than just winning a Super Bowl, proving that he bounced back from his injury. He want to get paid.
Yeah.
And he has seen guys at his position get broke off. So that, listen, money is – I just did an interview with RZA and Wu-Tang last week, and one of my favorite songs is Cream. Yeah, and I appreciate that. And it's, listen, cash rules everything around me. It's the same thing in the NFL. Like, there's rings, there's Pro Bowls, and then there's contracts. And for a lot of guys, it's reverse. It's contracts, Pro Bowls, and rings. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Without. And I'm happy you mentioned that too about his season, because also on the other side of him is a guy who is always in the question for Defensive Player of the Year in a Nick Bosa, right?
Ooh.
So it gets off of him. So I mean, I'm glad he mentioned it at the beginning of the podcast. You play with Randy, right? Ooh. So going into every game, you got to beat one-on-ones because you're not. He's gonna take a lot of the attention. So as long as you do your job, you get open, you got a chance to go off every day. And he has that same thing. They're scheming for Nick a lot more than they're scheming for Chase, which is a very dangerous thing.
That's a fact, bro. Listen, Randy, he would come in and tell us straight up, like, hey, they gonna play us one-on-one, and you better win. And I'm a young pup, like, oh man, he putting the pressure on me. He's like, they gonna double me, they gonna triple me. I'm still gonna get the ball, but you have to beat one-on-one. And that was our thing. Our coach was straight up with it. Hey, if we get single eye safety, one-on-one coverage, we throwing you the rock. Half the time, Randy gonna have 2 or 3 dudes on him. Yep. I remember he was quadruple covered one time and still scored a touchdown. Randy was nasty. Like, Calvin Johnson was a beast when I played in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? But they were different type of animals. But Randy, though, the stuff he did in the games was crazy. Don't get me wrong. But he would do stuff at practice that blew my mind. I'll give you one story, and I love telling this, and I think I'll be able to depict it well on this IG Live. So we're at practice. He's going against Antoine Winfield, who was a Pro Bowl corner. Antoine Winfield came from Buffalo, fantastic cornerback. You know what I'm saying? His son is now playing with Tampa. Yeah, exactly. So Antoine's a beast. He's patient. He sits at the line of scrimmage, a little bit shorter than Randy. So he gets in him at the line. We in red zone one-on-ones. So Randy's on the 5. So really you only got to guard a little bit of space. Now, we all know Randy's running the fade. Randy ain't trying to run no slanted practice. He don't want to get tangled up. He loves to catch fades from different positions and different angles because he was like a ballerina on his feet and had the softest hands in the world, and he could jump through the roof. So he runs the fade, and Culpepper is sitting there with the ball, and he whistles it. A young Culpepper, man, he broke this finger. The reason why this finger is crooked, that's how hard he threw the ball at practice. So he threw this ball, not a lofty one like he usually does. He whistled it, a back shoulder. So Randy's like this, looking back at Pep. Antoine Winfield's right here. The ball is whistling through the air and is aiming for his back shoulder. Now, most receivers will open up their hips, catch it like this. Some might even turn all the way open and jump up and catch it with their chest if they don't have faith in their hands. We thinking Randy's going to do one of those two. And if you're really skilled, you might even try to track the ball and turn all the way around, but nobody does that in that close proximity. I mean, that's pretty much impossible. He did something that was even tougher than that. As the ball is whistling, he's sitting there. The pylon is right here, right next to him, whistling by his head. He's running and goes like this and catches it on the other side of his head and then gets his feet down at the pylon. Bro, when I tell you, we was at practice tripping, it was like one of them moments where it was like we all know we not him. There's him, there's Himothy with his Timberlands on, and then there's us. It was a moment because he had these ways of reminding us, and he didn't try to. He just had these ways of reminding us that I'm built different, period. God bless me with the special athleticism, and I've added on top of that with my work ethic, and I just can do different things. I thought that was one of the craziest catches I've ever seen. because we all get a blind spot when the ball is in the air. The fact that he was like, I'm gonna let this go behind my head and then find it on the other side with one hand, grabbed it, tap, tap, held the ball over the DB's head like he was teasing a little kid with candy, and just walked back. And we're going crazy. It was like when when Kareem and Magic played Magic's rookie year, Kareem won, like they won their first game of the season, and Magic is going nuts, like, oh my God. And Kareem's like, yo, young fella, we got like 81 more games, chill out. And Magic's just happy to be on the field, be on the court. That's how I felt, bro. I'm like jumping up and down, oh, Randy, ah! And he just walked back to the huddle like it was nothing. And he would do that all the time. Randy was different, man. He was different.
Hell yeah. Were you there in the game where he had, I believe you might have been, right? Or no, maybe it was earlier in his career. What was it? 3 catches, 163 yards?
Oh, that was before me. You talking about the Thanksgiving Day game.
That was like 99, probably, right?
Yeah. Randy, when he got passed up in the draft and he wanted to make people pay, like he meant that. And that's why he terrorized the league and terrorized DBs. All them teams that passed up on him for all that nonsense, like he made them pay. Randy had some grit to him and he was cool. Like Randy was super cool, man. And then I ended up playing with Calvin. Like I thought when I left Minnesota, I'm like, I'll never see a guy that is as skilled and as physically gifted as Randy Moss. And then so many years later, I land on the roster, sign a contract with Detroit, and I'm number 2 to Calvin. And I'm like, bro, this dude is a avatar, man. Like he is I see why they call him Megatron. This dude is for real different. It was crazy to compare the two. Like I played with 2 of the coldest of all time. And I was happy with that role. Like, I'm okay with being Robin. You know what I'm saying? I'm okay. Like, I'll let Batman do all the fight and take the shots to the gut. I'll walk out there and do my little sidekick thing.
Yeah, right. Just two absolute legends. Obviously, it's no easy feat to make it to the league. And you obviously put them in that work too. So, you know what I mean? You stood above the rest as well. So, that's super dope that we even have you up here, you know what I mean, to be able to tell us these stories.
Nah, man. Anytime, bro.
We were on who, the 49ers with that we got off to Randy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right? Yeah. Talking about the Niners, yeah.
But yeah, no, I think look, I think that it's going to be tighter than people think. There really are some really good teams out there. I even, so many people always want to just count out the Cowboys because whatever.
You're right. I didn't even mention the Cowboys, and that's part of it. Maybe it's part of like Jerry Jones and his marketing always pushing the Cowboys on us, America's team. They kind of like the Lakers lightweight without the championships, but they're kind of like the Lakers. Like we just want to hate them for no reason, and people want to hate that. But here's one thing I'll say, and I know Dak a little bit. I don't know him personally, but I met him on a couple of occasions, and this is harsh of criticism that I can give him. I think this is the compliment part. Dak can be regular season great. He can be MVP great every year. I truly do believe that. Like he has the skill set to throw and have big numbers. He's athletic enough to have some rushing touchdowns. He can take care of the ball when he wants to. Dak can be regular season good, even regular season great. I think in order for Dak to take that next step, which here comes the backhand of the compliment, is we don't care about that. Like we don't care how good you are in the regular season. We want to see Dak do that in the postseason. We want to see Dak and also have a defining moment in a deciding game that sends them either to the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl. And I mean that with the utmost respect because I love him as a dude and I want to see him play well. In order for Dak to shake that criticism and that doubt, he's going to have a defining moment. Like every quarterback that makes a magical run to the Super Bowl has that moment in the postseason, and Dak hasn't had that yet.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And, he's got a gauntlet coming up. They got Seattle tonight. They play, Buffalo in 2 weeks. I'm sorry, they play Philly next week. Buffalo in 2 weeks.
That's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Let me ask y'all this, because y'all, listen, I watch what y'all do. And first, let me say, well done on what you guys are building, getting some huge names. I feel honored, bro, to pull up on y'all, especially after seeing some of the individuals y'all have talked to. So I love these types of conversations because I get to ask questions to people who love the game. From the outside looking in, what is your perspective on Aaron Rodgers back on the field throwing the rock?
Blows my mind.
Yeah.
Me too, bro.
I thought it was a joke. You know, like, I know that he obviously wanted to come back. But the fact that he's out there practicing is just, it doesn't make sense to me because it's not supposed to happen at that age. It's just really not supposed to happen. Immediately when you see it happen, you know, you hear the torn Achilles, it's season's done.
Season's done. 9 to 12 months.
We're not going to talk about Aaron Rodgers at all. It's over. The conversation is over. But he's still, you know, he's starting to have those conversations with Pat McAfee. Oh, yeah, you know, I'm thinking about coming back, you know. And it's, okay, it's cool, but it ain't happening. You know, even when you see the report that he's practicing, I genuinely didn't believe it. I don't think it's hit me until this very moment right here, if I'm going to be honest with you.
Bro, listen,
I mean, the guy's 39 years old now.
Did you see the clip that the Jets put out?
Yep.
No.
Bro, you got to watch this clip. He's dropping back, and it looks like the Jets put it out because they didn't allow media to be out there. But my man's doing a drop back. Now, it's in slow motion. I don't know how fast he's going. I don't know in what context, but he has 2 cleats on, probably one taped up and wrapped up really nice because that's the injured foot. But he drops back and just flicks a ball, and it looks pretty. It looks like he never left the field. The funny thing about it is Tim Boyle, the backup quarterback, he's standing behind him, and he's not even looking like at the drop back or like the ball thrown. My man is looking dead at the Achilles the whole time. He's like, all right, okay, all right, I guess this is happening. Like, you can see it, the doubt in his eyes, and then all of a sudden he lets it go, and Tim's just like, damn, all right, I guess he's back for real.
Yeah.
Like, he out there on the field. Now, I don't know how soon he'll be on the field, but I do think it's amazing, bro. Like, the only thing I can compare to this is when Adrian Peterson came back in like 5 months after his ACL and went back to cooking the league.
I'll tell you what, another thing I could compare it with, and then, Matt, I'll let you get it, is I'm not sure if you played with him. I believe you did. Sean Alexander.
Oh, Sean Alexander, yeah, Sean Alexander.
He came back, I believe. I forgot. I think it was a knee.
Yeah, Sean Alexander came back from an injury, and he showed up and showed out. Yeah. But Achilles is different, though. Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, it's got me thinking there's some modern day Wolverine, type of scheme going on.
It could be that ayahuasca too, bro. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we got to go across the border to Mexico and do a little something, man. Open up our third eye.
Yeah, maybe his off-season activities. Maybe they help him out in this.
That's a fact.
For real.
But what did you feel about him coming back, man?
I think. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
No. I mean, him coming back would obviously be crazy, but I think that it's like I really think it's just too little, too late for them.
Yeah.
At this point,
absolutely.
Whenever he comes back, it may not even be worth it.
Do you think he's coming back because he honestly thinks the Jets are going to the playoffs, or do you think he's coming back because all greats, and I'm calling him a great, they have a healthy delusion, which makes them who they are, and he's listening to all the whispers, and he's like, "I'm gonna do it just because y'all think I can."
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go more towards that side because I have to think that he's at every game, right? I have to think that he knows that there's no shot
that
they're getting in. So you gotta go on the other side of that and that like I gotta show the world that I'm not out. I'm not out. I could still do this at this point in my life. Tom Brady do it year after year. I'm in that category too. I'm doing this because I want to, not because I have to.
Absolutely. I also think there's another factor in there that because he is great and because he is Aaron Rodgers, I think he's trying to motivate that team to make a push to go out there and get some wins, because just that defense has got to be so motivated watching them out there on the field. The quarterbacks, Zach Wilson and what's this kid's name again? What's this guy's name? Their quarterback right now?
You talking about
the Jets?
Boyle.
Who's out?
What's his?
You just Boyle or
Tim Boyle. Yeah, Tim Boyle.
So he's also got to be extremely motivated to see this. So that entire team right now is, you can't get them more motivated than you see this goat walk out onto the field, torn Achilles, and says, "I'm coming back."
Yeah, I feel you on that.
That's that moment for them. That's that Randy Moss moment. Like, oh, you see what he just did? He just do. You know what I mean? For them, they all got a newfound motivation right now, and I think he knows what he's doing to lift them up. And he's also showing the team, you guys paid me a lot of money, so I got to do something for y'all.
That's
I got you right here.
That's real tough. I know we gotta pop off at like 6:30, but I gotta ask y'all about the Celtics, man. I'm an NBA guy, so listen, it's not just football. Next time we do this, which we will do it again, we gotta talk everything. I'm NFL, NBA, boxing, MMA, UFC, so we can talk it all. Do y'all think it's the Celtics' year? Do you think Tatum can take this team past the conference finals and win a title again in Boston?
Matt, I'll let you start it off.
I do think that the biggest difference this year, you got to score big. That's what they were missing all these years, man. They always had, right, and he brings both. He rebounds, he plays D, and Porzingis can put up a 30 piece any night. You know what I'm saying? That is the biggest difference, I think, for sure. You got a guy who can go out there and do that. That's then you can't really key in on Tatum on offense and the Browns. So I think that's a huge change, and I do think they're going to be there.
Okay. I look at the Boston Celtics almost as everybody else is looking at the Dallas Cowboys, right? They got you're just looking at Tatum, and you're like, when is it going to all click? And you go out into the finals, and you go out and kill him because he could do it. He's got that Kobe-like-esque feel to him when he's out.
He does.
When he really wants to go out there and play ball. And that's not to disrespect Kobe. Kobe's a legend, my favorite player.
I feel you. I see it too. I see what you see. Like he got that takeover mode in him. And it is kind of similar. He get in his Kobe bag too.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so you would expect him to go out there and it's all going to click one time. But I do want to see what he's going to do when it matters the most. But as far as what they're doing right now with Porzingis out there, it is definitely a significant difference. I love it for Porzingis. I hated that he was pushed out of New York. I always wanted to see him excel. I mean, that was the unicorn. That was when we had Phil Jackson over there in New York. Everybody wanted to see this story happen. Phil Jackson does it again. Everybody wanted to see it happen. So
he had some low key Wemby hype, like not as crazy as Wemby, of course. Like they think Wemby's gonna be different, but Porzingis kind of had it, like long, can stretch the floor, can get above the rim, can shoot the long shot, can move in the midi area. So like, it's good to see Porzingis kind of find his home, and he doesn't have to be the man. It's kind of like when Bosch went to Miami. Yeah. Like, you know what? Just be the perfect compliment, and occasionally we'll ask you to drop 25.
Yeah. That's a big boy out there to make those shot blocks when it matters the most in those pivotal games. So I'm really excited to see what they do. Me being a Lakers fan my entire life, I still actually very much enjoy watching the Celtics play. They got a great team. Them with Jaylen Brown out there. It's kind of sad seeing the success without Marcus Smart. I love this. He's such a funny dude, so I love seeing him out there. But, I think that there's a lot of teams, it's still super early to be able to tell. There's a lot of teams out there. There's some surprising teams, like somehow, Houston has been balling out there. Who else was it that was balling out there recently? Was it Houston that went on a run?
Houston went on a little run. I think Phoenix is starting to figure it out.
Yep.
Listen, I'm a Lakers fan. I'm a Bron fan. So I want to see Bron and them play well. They still trying to find their rhythm. I hope Bron can continue to ball out even at this age, because I want to see him play with his son, low key. Like I want to see if Bron actually, at 41 years old, is he going to be out there in the post, like, what I'm saying, old school, back to the basketball. But yeah, the NBA is going to be interesting this year.
Absolutely. And I think, you obviously can't count out the Joker.
Ooh.
So
slow motion be cooking the NBA. You know what I heard, and I don't know if this is true. I think it was Luka years ago. A reporter was talking to him, and he said it's easier here in the NBA. NBA, traditionalists and
Oh,
fans and
yeah.
even some players kind of got offended. It was like, what you mean? Like, we got the best athletes in the world. The point he was saying was, like, fundamentally, we do things different overseas.
Mm-hmm.
So because there's a lack of fundamentals in today's game in the NBA and everybody focuses on the long shot and a little bit of that one-on-one action, I actually can do what I do best. And you see Luka and the Joker, that overseas slow motion game, methodically cooking the defense, like, it works. It really does. It just goes to show you don't have to be the most athletic on the court to be the best player.
Absolutely. Now, Nate, before I let you go, I got to ask you a question about what are we doing this week? Who do we got playing tonight? We got the Seahawks.
Seahawks and Cowboys, right?
The Seahawks and Cowboys. So who's for the people out there, I got a bunch of people on here waiting for a pick.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No, I got the Cowboys tonight, and it kind of hurts my feelings because, I'm a Seattle guy. But I got the Cowboys. I feel like they're in a place where they have found their rhythm. They found their identity. They're confident in who they are, and they're playing like it. Seattle has been too up and down for me to kind of bet the house on them right now.
How about you, Matt? What do you got for tonight?
Yeah, no, I got the same thing. I mean, Dak and CD, they figured it out, man. They're ball, and he's Dak is using everybody. He's playing like Nate said. He's playing that regular season. That fire is coming out right now. So
yeah.
I think he's going to keep that rolling until he comes into Buffalo in a couple weeks. But
now, here was my last question before you take off. We're 6:28. We got 2 minutes left here. The talk about this transfer portal going on with these quarterbacks and them taking the money and whatnot. Yeah. Is this something that just because now it's acceptable, we're hearing it, or is this something new?
Nah, it's a new format, but it's been happening. And shout out to O'Bannon's years ago who went at college sports and was like, you got us some video games, you're selling our jerseys, you're making money off of us, we need to make money. The O'Bannon brothers from UCLA playing hoop, they were the ones that did that in the early 2000s. So shout out to them. But nowadays, it's the Wild Wild West. Now, I don't like players jumping from school to school because there's no loyalty. There's something about like riding with your team, even through the good and the bad, that makes a man, makes a woman. If you're playing sports, like going through the depths of hell and then coming back out on the other side, like that's what makes you who you are. It builds character. So jumping from squad to squad because the school is paying you more, I feel a certain type of way about how they're going about it. But as far as making the money, I'm with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. College football, basketball, track, college sports in general have been making a killing. We're not talking millions. We're not talking multi-millions. We're talking $1 billion industry. All the while they're telling these kids, they will give you $1,000 to go get room and food and clothes and lifestyle and entertainment. And you got to figure it out. By the way, you can't get no money under the table. You can't get a free tattoo. You can't get free clothes. You can't get free tickets anywhere. That's crazy to me. The same system that they implemented decades ago, they were applying to kids nowadays. Man, decades ago, 50, 60 years ago, there wasn't even TV contracts. We were still turning TV like this, click, 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 with the antennas we had to fix when we had to beat it on the side. Now you have contracts with all these different networks. We're talking in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And you're telling us we as athletes have to abide by the same concept of being a scholarship athlete when you guys are making that much money? I'm glad these kids are getting paid, and I'm okay with it. Now, how the kid deals with handling that money, that all depends on how he's raised, you know what I'm saying, or how she's raised. I just feel like them making money isn't the issue. It's young people with money that we have to address. And as long as they're well educated and they got mentors, they won't go blow their money on stupid things, you know what I'm saying, and use it as a launch pad for a successful financial career.
Absolutely. All right, Nate, it's been a pleasure having you up here.
I appreciate it. Hey, listen,
I definitely want to keep doing this.
Warming up to the sports show. Go ahead. 100%, we'll do it, bro. I didn't mean to cut you off. I will give you a little inside scoop. I'm hustling off the phone because I gotta go pitch a documentary about one of sports greats. I can't say too much more than that. I'll be executive producing a documentary. It's about to hit the platforms soon. So that's why I'm hustling off. Otherwise, we can talk all day long. There's no time limits. I love what you guys do, and I appreciate you having me on.
Amazing, man. Keep doing it. Keep killing it.
All right, man. We'll do it again soon.
All right. Be safe, my brother.
All right, y'all.
All right.
Matt.
Yo.
You can stay right there, man.
Yeah.
So, we got the what is the spread on tonight's game?
9.5. 9.5. Dallas is giving them.
Do you think that Dallas could cover that spread?
So I think it's going to be a touchdown game. I don't think they're going to cover that 9.5 because I do think that that Seattle does have some pieces on offense and they're going to make it close too. It's it's one of those teams that are in that log jam of the playoff hunt. I do think that they're going to keep it a little close in this game. So the 9.5, no, I'd buy a couple points if you're into the if you do wager. I like the 6.5 or 5.5 even. It could go to overtime. Then you get that touchdown win, right? So I like that. I do think they're going to win. I don't think they're going to cover though.
Yeah, no, you also they're playing in Dallas?
Yes.
Okay. That's obviously a huge factor. I've been so busy with all the podcasts, and we had Channing Crowder last night that I'm, I forget that there's even a game. I forget it's even Thursday right now. I know because, obviously our sports show with Nate Burleson, which super dope. I'm glad that, you were able to make it as well, because I definitely want to continue this going forward. It's something that I enjoy so much. So to be able to start talking, whenever you jump into something, the first time you're kind of chilling, observing, you know what I mean? And then eventually they're going to be like, oh, there's Danza being Danza, you know what I mean? Screaming up, talking a whole lot of shit. So, it was fun.
But that's
what are the other key matchups this week that you're on the lookout for?
This week you got the we're going to see what the game could have been last year. You got the rematch of the NFC Championship with Philly and the Niners, right? So, Brock Purdy got hurt in that game last year. There's a lot of people saying if he didn't, the Niners would be in the bowl. So we're going to see what that looks like this weekend when they face off against each other. That's a big one. And then there's not a whole other ton of games that are really that's like the biggest marquee matchup for me. I mean, if you're on the Buffalo side, you're obviously rooting for a couple teams to get some wins this week to kind of help us out in that race, right? You want either the Houston and Denver game is big because they're one of those guys is gonna lose this week, right? So that's gonna put another loss in that loss column in the playoff hunt for for the AFC, and then also there's Indy. I forgot who Indy plays. I got to look at that again. But you were unfortunately as Buffalo fans, we're back in that mode. I remember I used to look at the Buffalo news before we had iPhones.
Yeah.
See the slate for the week and be like, all right,
yeah.
If these boys lose, if these boys win, and we get a win, that joint helps us. Or even like they used to do the articles of what how it helps the Bills, which is always cool to me. Yeah. So that type of shit that happened. But man, as far as being Danza being fiery and that's sports talk, man. You got to get emotional when it comes to sports because that's how it is.
Absolutely. Just getting the opportunity to have these conversations with these individuals is really what is cool about it all, right? Like, not only are we sitting there talking sports, which we love talking about sports, we get to do it with somebody that we watched playing sports coming up, like it's such huge moments for me as a fan, seeing these people in these moments. So it's pretty dope. We had Brandon Marshall up here. We had Steven Jackson for NBA. We had Channing Crowder up here. We had Edger and James and Ricky Williams in the same room together, which was actually it was surprising because it was their first interview ever.
Yep.
They never did an interview together. And I'm like, you guys were drafted 4th and 5th in the NFL draft in 99 and nobody ever sat you two down. I'm the first guy to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
that's wild to think about.
It's pretty wild. And, like even when they sat and they started talking to each other, you see that like, what's up, Ricky? You know what I mean? They talk like they're new friends. So it was real cool, man. It was real cool. But yeah, so I plan on, I don't want to give away all the gems of the stuff we want to talk about, but great show tonight. And I'll get in contact with you. I'll talk to you soon, my brother.
No
and for
doubt.
everybody tuning in, make sure you shoot us both a follow. And, we got some more stuff coming for you. The next show for us is, I don't know if I could tell y'all. Actually. But I do know that next week we have 2 major shows. One of them is going to be a major superstar out of Buffalo, New York. And that's all I'm going to give y'all. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to hit you up soon. I'll talk to you, and then everybody else be safe.
Sir, you too. All right, bro.